Hi folks, Daniela Cambone here, and before we get to our next segment, just a quick reminder that you still have time to download the free Danny Report. What is it? Well, I've been doing this career I love for close to 20 years and have had the honor and privilege of interviewing some of the brightest minds in the field. And in this free report, I share some of the best takeaways and insights I personally have learned. Feel free to download it. There's a link below, or scan this QR code, nice and simple, and get that free report. Hi, this is Daniela Cambone. Welcome back to the Daniela Cambone Show. If this week is any indication, we know that the first 100 days of Trump's presidency will certainly not be boring. Willem Middelkoop is my guest today, CEO and founder of the Commodity Discovery Fund. He's also the author behind the bestseller, The Big Reset. Willem, so good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It has been a while. I just started missing you.
I've been missing you long time, Willem, but obviously I follow you on all across social media, and you're just like me. I mean, to stay on top of all the news that's happening here, I mean, breaking news by the minute now.
The reset is happening as we speak. Huh?
Well, that's why I wanted to get you on. I mean, look, let's start here because we've just seen a slew of executive orders here. I obviously want to get your reaction to the ones that you find are most striking.
Actually, let's start with to say this is a totally different start from the Trump 1 administration. I can send you a picture of what happened when Trump learned in 2016 that he actually won. And he's the only one not happy in the room because he wasn't prepared. And now it's totally different. He has been preparing for years and he knows exactly what he wants to do, and he has a totally different team ready now. And I think let's focus on the case with the 51 spies who had this advertisement saying that the Biden, the laptop case, that was a hoax, it was a Russian setup. And it turned out they were all lying. Of course, we all already suspected that and knew that. But now Trump took away their security clearance. And now Trump is openly at war with, well, let's call it the deep state.
He's not over. He wants that laptop.
Well, you can find the information on the laptop everywhere. I think every page has been printed. But well, it's a sign that this is a totally new administration with a whole new culture, whether you like it or not. And yesterday I was looking at the inauguration, and because it was inside, it was so different from what you normally see on TV. But because when Trump was doing his speech with all these statements, and there was quite a bit of energy in the room, and then everybody started clapping, and then you had all these former presidents, you know, from the Obamas, and they were all sitting there with a sober face, and actually I saw the husband of Kamala. He started clapping at a certain point, but then he looked around, nobody was clapping, so he stopped clapping. Yeah. So it was so awkward.
I know, and I love how you're saying this. And by the way, for the folks who don't know, Willem's background is in journalism, so I love his take on this. I mean, you and I could chat about this for hours because I loved watching everyone's facial expression. There were so many awkward moments. Like here he is bashing the prior administration with Biden and Kamala there in the front row.
I wanted to send out the tweet every 30 seconds, but
right?
Because I really got into my journalist mode that I wanted to, actually I was taking pictures of the television screen because I thought it was so monumental and historic. And it doesn't matter if you like Trump or you hate him, just the event from a journalistic point of view, it was history being made.
Well, history being made, and hopefully we can get this B-roll of Hillary Clinton laughing when he brought up the Gulf of America, you know, renaming it from the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. So that was one key moment. What's your whole take on him going after, the Panama Canal, the Gulf of Mexico, Canada?
When I discuss this with people, I will say this is a guy who just thinks outside the box. And look how we got peace in the Middle East. Look how we got hostages, the first hostages freed in Gaza after such a long time, because he broke open the process by threatening Netanyahu and teaming up with the Biden administration in a very smart way. So people always think Trump is stupid and he's a madman and he's obnoxious, but if you study his behavior, people called him a dictator. The last few, 1 or 2 years, if you follow the mainstream media. But we forget he has been a president before in 2016. He never behaved like a dictator. But I think this will be a different Trump, because he might take revenge, and there's a reason why he will take revenge, because they really went after almost everybody he worked with. And if you compare that, how they never looked into Hunter Biden in a serious way, I think he is right to say that the justice system was politicized and used as a weapon against him. And I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm not a supporter of the other camp either.
I totally agree with what you're saying, how it feels absolutely different. His level of ease, and Melania's as well, right? Everyone just feels very at ease and they're ready to own this role.
I'm afraid that he might surprise many, and even investors and the stock market, by doing quite well in the first 100 days, 200 days. And of course, he will get his problems. There's so many things to fix, but the mood and the energy in the first few months, the fact that all these tech billionaires, and it's not only tech billionaires, but also the real estate billionaires and the other ones, they're all aligned with him now. And they all want to make something happen, something good.
Right, so you're seeing this, Willem, that's a good point, because that's an optic, right, again, that is seen by many as, pointing and saying, well, look at the oligarchy that's forming. But you're looking at it from a positive perspective here.
Well, of course, there will be corruption as well. And what's happening with the meme coins, it's unbelievable. The stealing, the plunder has started. But, there was a lot of plunder on the other side. and now let's bring it to another level. When you reach the end of a system, when you reach the end of an empire, what do you see? Plunder by the elitists, plunder by the insiders. But we've seen that on the Biden camp as well. And we'll see that with the Trump administration. So he has his flaws. and when he can make money in an easy way, he will do it. And the Trump family will get rich, like all the other presidents got rich as well. So he's no saint. He has his flaws. But on average, you should give him the benefit of the doubt, because the other side made such a mess. And what worries me most, I'm rewriting the big reset as we speak. Been a long process. I've been waiting for the right time, but now so many moving parts, there's so much to write, and I will write a full chapter on the censorship and how the censorship arrived in the US after 2016, 2017. And first, nobody dared to discuss this openly, but when Elon Musk put his whole weight behind Trump, now the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Mark Andreessens, they all dare to come out to say how bad the administration, the Biden administration,
Isn't that interesting?
How they were pressured into censorship. And the mainstream media is not reporting this the same way the mainstream media was not reporting on the Twitter files, which showed a lot of these, awful tactics being used.
It was fascinating to watch that Zuckerberg interview, where he shared that the meme that really got them wound up, that they called and said, you got to take that down, and hopefully we can find it, was the one where they showed, you see the ads like, were you at 9/11? Well, then you may be eligible for it, but they're going to show in 50 years from now, did you take the vax? Well, you may be eligible for, and that was the one they really went after him for, that they wanted him to take down. And he was saying, I'm not going to take down satire. Yeah.
There are two other interviews which are even more important to listen to. There's this Mark Andreessen interview. Joe Rogan interviewed Mark Andreessen, you know, the founder of Netscape. That's a 3-hour interview. What Mark Andreessen is explaining, he's talking about, he was in a meeting with the Biden administration, in which the Biden administration told the tech guys, we'll have 3 big companies who will be in charge of AI, and they will do the censorship, and all the others will be, well, will become smaller ones. And then you had this other interview, also a Joe Rogan interview with Mike Pence. That's less well known. And Mike Pence, he was a lawyer working with the State Department, and he's telling it all. So now everybody dares to come forward to tell the public how we were about to lose our freedom. Well, I'm not an American, but you in America, people who only follow the mainstream media, they will be shocked when they learn about this, because you can only find this on YouTube and on the internet.
Yes, and I was going to say something, but I don't want to get censored on YouTube. Willem, speaking of censorship, okay, but I want to get back still to your main point. So I'm thrilled, by the way, because I'm learning that you're writing finally a follow-up to the Big Reset, which was such a huge success. So I watched past interviews that you gave about 3 months ago, where you were saying you could see inflation go back way up high, past 10%. You were saying. Now, you know, given that Trump's in power, given there's a lot of optimism for the economy, I want to get your pulse, your thoughts on whether your views have changed on the trajectory we're on.
Well, as said, I think the mood has changed in a positive way, and many people were afraid that a huge correction on the stock market would start around January 20th. But I think we will see new record highs over the summer, and then maybe in the autumn or over the winter the mood will change. But first I think we'll see a quite positive mood. But we see inflation already picking up a bit. So I think we've seen the low in inflation numbers. From here we'll move upwards. You see that with the interest rates as well. Of course, that's a big problem for the new US administration. Gold has been breaking out massively. We discussed this the last time we spoke, I think, was almost 18 months ago. And then we discussed the scenario that we would be breaking 2,000, we would retest 2,000, and then I predicted the real rally would start. Well, we're here, 2,700, 2,800. Expect gold to go much higher. The miners still have to start the real move to catch up rally. But look at copper. Copper has been going sideways for years. So copper is on the verge of a breakout. Uranium is looking very strong. And even nickel and zinc, we don't discuss that often, but we as investors, we look at those metals as well. So I think we're back in this reflation trade. Oil is picking up again. So first, everything might go up strongly before we get the nasty period and the dangerous period.
Let's talk about that. Why do you feel that the big reset is full on happening now?
Well, when I discussed the big reset, it's about a change in the system. We're really reaching the end game. We really entered the end game now. You can see that with the change in the administration, a totally new wind is blowing. You can't compare this with anything else in the last 50 or 60 years. Look what's happening with China and Russia. Of course, well, I was impressed by the statement by Trump yesterday about the benefits of all the wars we won't fight. We won't start, actually, he said. And people forget that he didn't start any new wars during his first presidency. And the Pentagon was really preparing the other side in the White House. a large war conflict with China was always guaranteed. The Pentagon is really preparing to get in a major hot war with China 27, 28. With Trump in the White House, I feel a bit more safe, but well, that conflict is still there. But I still think, to come back to the reset, we really reached the last inning now of this US empire. And with everything Trump is proposing, and he wants to take over Canada and Panama, and you can expect some wild moves. And when you reach the end of an empire, that's what you're going to see. And that's
wild moves.
Yeah, everywhere. Not just on financial markets, but gold exploding higher. Expect gold to continue to keep rising to $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. You know why? All central banks are buyers of gold now. Maybe you are aware that I'm affiliated with OMVIF. That's a monetary think tank in London. That's the think tank of central bankers. That's why the central bankers meet the private sector. That's why we are allowed to join. I was just asked a few months ago by the founder and CEO to co-write a very large, special on gold, titled Gold and the New World Disorder. And normally, the world of central bankers, they didn't want to touch gold. And now they're writing huge pieces about it, and it's no taboo anymore to buy physical gold as a central banker, and I think that shows something as well.
To your point about how he doesn't, want to use military force, but has not backed away or shied away from saying he won't use economic force, whether it's against Canada. But to that point, I want to bring up the BRICS, right? Anyone who's watched Willem knows he is an expert on this topic and has spoken, extensively on it. Can he stop the BRICS?
No, but he already showed his cards by saying that every country who is aligned with the BRICS and wants to trade in other currencies than the dollar will face tariffs of 100%. And you only threaten other countries in such a way when you're afraid of them, when you're afraid of them moving out of the dollar. So he has shown his cards already. And people who always criticize me by saying you don't have to take the BRICS serious, well, Trump just showed he is taking the BRICS very serious.
Would that work in stopping them, saying you'd get 100% tariffs if you even think about turning your back on the dollar?
Well, Trump in a way is like the bully
right.
at your middle school, at your high school, who's threatening everybody that he will wait for them after school if they don't behave the way he wants them to behave. But I think the power of the BRICS alliance is that all these countries understand when we have this alliance, the US can't play us. They have to face this alliance. And the Saudis just backed out by not signing the deal with the BRICS. But Saudis playing both sides. But if you see the number of countries who joined the BRICS alliance already, you can't stop this train.
I know he mistakenly mentioned Spain. I don't know if you caught that, Willem, and then the reporter didn't even know what the BRICS was. But anyways, and that led me to think, wait, I wonder why he thought Spain. Maybe there was a certain discussion. I don't know if it was just a mistake in speaking, but, my journalist brain was going thinking, that's interesting. Was he maybe told Spain in a meeting? I don't know. Well, I'm not putting, theories out there.
Well, we know that the president of France, Macron, he invited himself to be allowed to come to the BRICS conference in South Africa. That was last year, and he was declined. So you see, people are starting to take this BRICS alliance very serious, and they better should be.
For our viewers, many of which are Canadian, Willem, as you know, speaking about these threats, the 25% on Canada.
Yeah.
Canada, US, we're supposed to be best friends here. 25%. Yeah. Is that just part of the art of the deal, or do you think that's another one that could go through?
I think it's just the first shots fired before the real negotiations start. But don't laugh about these ideas that Trump wants to get his hands on Greenland and Canada and Panama, because he won't take over the country, but a deal will happen. He will get a deal which will be very profitable and beneficial for the US. I'm quite sure about that, because he can do some arm wrestling.
And Canada's so vulnerable. I know you follow Canadian politics closely, Willem, as you know, with Trudeau now stepping down, but leaving the country. I mean, by the time a new leader is found for the Liberal Party, an election is called, I mean, it could be 6 months that Canada is basically in this situation, completely vulnerable to Trump here.
Well, Canada has always been a vassal state to the US, just like the countries in Europe. Remember when the US wanted to demonetize gold in the, let's say, what was it, the 70s, 80s, 90s, he made sure that Canada and the UK sold their gold. The US didn't sell 1 ounce. And then you see that Canada just listened to the master, like the UK listened to their master, and they sold their gold. Of course. Even the Dutch sold over 1,000 tons of gold and have only 600 tons left. So these are all puppets. Yeah,
I just read a great op-ed, and I'll fire it up here. I don't remember if it was Globe and Mail or Toronto Star, of how Canada is the one to blame to find themselves in this situation, because for decades, as my proud Canadians coming out here, for decades we enjoyed this role of we're Switzerland. We want to we don't want to make a fuss. We don't want to make too much noise. We don't want to get too noticed. And this is the exact reason we're in this position that we find ourselves in right now. So we'll see how that unfolds.
But sorry, just to make one more point on Canada. Of course, Canada has all these commodities, just like Australia has, and the countries in Latin America. It's such a powerful status if you use that well. But Trudeau almost ignored his mining industry. Yeah. And that was a great example. Our geologist was at a conference in Argentina, a mining conference. And the president was there, and all the governors and all the press. When have you ever seen such an event in Canada, where all the governors are there and they all applaud the mining industry? They actually feel ashamed of the mining industry sometimes.
That's exactly it in a segment of its own, Willem. But getting back to what we should be doing, because I just had Edward Dowd on, who is also, he's actually warning about a greater recession than 2008. And he sees it linked to the migrant crisis in the United States, of what will really cause the system to fail here. I know you were warning about that as well. I mean, I asked you about inflation, but overall, do you think that we're heading into a dire state here?
I haven't been warning about a larger crisis than 2008 for quite some time. I think in this whole reset process, we'll see large shocks. But with Trump as president, I think you'll have a guy who will pressure the Federal Reserve to print more money when needed. And we see this with most politicians, but I think we'll see this with Trump, being the opportunistic guy he is, when he has to choose for a larger crisis 4-8 years out, or a crisis now, he'll choose for the crisis 4 to 8 years out, and he'll just print more money, lots more money. And look how he behaves with crypto. That's madness. But he's starting.
Well, I'm happy you brought that up, because I want to sneak that question in. I mean, look, as of now, he hasn't brought up the Bitcoin reserve yet. But like I say, as of now, by the time I edit and post this, I don't know. Maybe this will change. But your thoughts on the embracement of crypto, of Bitcoin. We see all the pictures with Michael Saylor now. He's basically part of the of the team here.
I would like to advise everybody to go to YouTube and look for Michael Saylor's last presentation. He was invited by Cantor Fitzgerald a few months ago. That's a 60-minute speech. People are eating and talking while he's speaking, but people didn't understand how significant that his speech was, because he explains why the US should build a Bitcoin reserve and make an awful lot of money in the process. And if you look at the new administration, the Secretary of the Treasury, all the guys, they're all pro-Bitcoin guys. And that's why they started the Trump meme as well. And I think it's Barron, the son of Trump, who made his father understand crypto and now use crypto. And when they use crypto to enrich themselves, they will also use crypto to enrich the US, because it's USA first. So you can expect some crazy things happening around Bitcoin.
Crazy. Yep. Amazing. And
that might surprise everybody, because if you're in the game theory space, you know what happens when the largest or richest country in the world starts to buy Bitcoin, because it's like gold. All central banks are now allowed to buy gold in a way, while it was a taboo at first, but now all countries are allowed to buy Bitcoin. And there are only 1 million Bitcoin left to be newly mined. So we could see Bitcoin reaching 1 million per Bitcoin. I tweeted that a few months ago. Watch that space.
Things are about to get very spicy and exciting. And you mentioned Barron, Willem, and if you read the room yesterday, the thunderous applause he received. So he's definitely going to be one to watch.
But Daniela, this like with the Bitcoin might go to 1 million. This is the crazy stuff. What happens during the end game of a financial system? You get.
But Willem, the gold people don't like to hear that. They don't want to hear you say Bitcoin's going to 1 million.
Oh, but they're too old-fashioned. They don't understand. 99 out of 100 don't understand the power of Bitcoin. What always struck me, I've been in this industry for a long time, and I never understood why the younger generation didn't understand gold, didn't understand the importance to hedge yourself about on the debasement of currencies. And then Bitcoin arrived, and then this whole new generation understood crypto like it was natural for them. And they never came our way, let's say, to the gold community. And I feel old enough to understand the gold bugs. I feel flexible and young enough to understand the younger generation. And I think I was one of the first in our industry to say, it's not gold or Bitcoin, it's gold and Bitcoin.
That's it. Bingo.
Yeah.
Willem, I forgot how much I love speaking with you. I feel like you're at my kitchen table, and we could go on and on.
Yeah. It's always the magic happens. Yeah.
Come back soon. Let's not wait so long, because I have a feeling there's not going to be a shortage of stuff to talk about. So come back, Willem.
Talking points. We'll do that the next time.
Awesome. Thank you, Willem, and thank you all for watching. We'll have more great content. Sign up at danielacambone.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of these awesome conversations. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.